All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would kind of do a continuation of yesterday's video. And again, this is something I want to make clear. This has been a mission statement of mine since day one on my channel, from day one. All right, so we need to be clear on that. I've been saying this for 12, 13 years, that this is a big part of what I do, and a lot of the reason that I started doing a lot of this was because for me personally, getting under a barbell strength training was very therapeutic as a child abuse survivor. And it's something I've been very passionate about for an extremely long time, very open about, very passionate about. And that's one reason I kind of clap back really hard when I get people who've pulled the nonsense of, oh, you're lying about your child stuff. Or even worse, these people start fabricating insane ideas, accusing me of being that sort of person. And I need people to understand this is extremely harmful, and be aware people didn't start doing that until years after I came out about this. This is something I was talking about for years before anyone started any of that nonsense online. So again, I want to make it clear that is a big part of my channel. It's a big part of what I want to do, is to encourage other people who are survivors of that type of abuse or any sort of abuse or assault, who have PTSD from it, to start strength training, get under a barbell, use it to empower yourself, right? For a number of reasons. Yeah, we can make the case of it's helpful for, as part of your therapy, to get stronger, to feel confident and strong enough to go talk about it, which is a critical part of the healing process. And that's something I would say to all those people. As long as you hold it inside and you don't go talk to a therapist, it will eat you up. Okay. You absolutely have to be able to talk about it, because if you don't, there is no way to heal. You will never heal as long as you suppress it. You have to talk about it. And getting under a barbell is one of those tools that can empower people to do that. Okay. It's one of those tools that can empower people to do that. It also gives you a constructive outlet for that anger early on. Okay. A constructive outlet. And then the same thing when you're dealing with any sort of PTSD. It's a huge game changer, because trauma is trauma. And this is what all the best experts have figured out when it comes to this. They're like, there's no difference in the way the brain perceives that trauma. In other words, let me make sure this volume is good here. In other words, oh gosh, I'll get back to you guys in just a second, trying to get the sound correct. Turn that up. There we go. Is that better? In other words, all the best therapists have noted there's no difference in the brain between someone who is a veteran who has PTSD, someone who's a rape survivor who has PTSD, someone who's a child abuse survivor who has PTSD. The brain response is identical. The brain response is identical. Your brain can't tell them apart. The response is the same. So accordingly, one of the things that we know is getting under a heavy weight, you deal with partially that similar flight or fight response, right? Especially you go to get under a heavy squat, a really heavy squat. It can trigger some of that, because that's what you're dealing with that PTSD as a result of that trauma, is a dysregulation in your body's or your brain's fight or flight response, right? It comes out at inappropriate times. It comes out when you're triggered over things that really shouldn't have triggered it. The people get triggered, right? The minor things will set them off. And then they have an enormous anxiety attack. Okay. And it's what's happening is your adrenaline and everything shoots up in response to that trigger from that trauma response. Getting under that heavy barbell can train the people who've been through these things. Okay. It can train people who've been through these things to have control of that better, because you're putting yourself into that environment where that same sort of response can happen as a result of the anticipation of the physical stress, but you're now doing it at a place of your choosing. And that was something I even talked to later. This is something I've been saying a long time. And then I talked to some people like at the Texas State Meet who had started a powerlifting program specifically for veterans to help with this. And then they started including sexual assault survivors into the program, because they figured out it helped them too. It helped all these people, because again, trauma is trauma. That anxiety response is the same no matter what traumatic event created that dysregulation in the brain. Okay. So it's a very, very, very powerful tool. And it's something that has been a critical part for me of my life's work of putting that message out there for people. And like I said, I've been doing that for over a decade. So again, when people come up with this other nonsense and they try to attack that because of whatever thing they have against me, you need to understand that what you are doing is you are undoing that type of work. And you guys are doing it with lies. Like you're literally fabricating lies and nonsense to do it. And I know I did the fake Merc thing, right? We all know that. I've owned it. It was 10 years ago now. That was 2015. Yes, that happened. Yes, I did the fake Merc thing. I've apologized for it, guys. But you don't keep using that to attack when people are doing legitimately good stuff that started before that, when they're trying to help people. Like that is not appropriate, right? And it doesn't mean that a person has lied about other stuff that there was evidence of. That's insane. And you definitely don't. And so the people who are then making up lies saying, oh, well, this guy used a minor attractive person, stuff they've accused me of falsely. No, I'm not. But the thing is, you have to understand that is insanely inappropriate to fling that on someone. And I don't care that you dislike them. You can say Jason did the fake Merc thing. He's the worst human being in the world. He lied and trolled about being a mercenary, and therefore he's scum. He's the most evil person alive, right? Doesn't mean you undo good work that people are trying to do. Doesn't mean that you go do worse than what they did, okay? Because that's what people are doing with that. So I want to be clear, like this is an important part of my work, and it is something I'm going to keep hammering home more and more and more, because it was part of the reason I started doing this, right? Was to share my full story with all of it, right? Me having been sick, having to rebuild myself, lose weight again, learn to walk again, dealing with my own binge eating as a result of my trauma, helping other people with the binge eating. But a big part of it was getting under a barbell again for the purpose of empowerment. Okay. It's massive. It's huge. It's huge. And again, it's, as I've said, hey, well, what's up, dude? As I've said, if there's nothing else beneficial that I contribute to this world in my entire lifetime beyond that, that's okay. Because that's the point. If I can at least do that one thing, right? Right? I can do that one thing. I can get some abuse survivors under a barbell. I can help them out. I will have left the world a better place for having been in it. Hey, Will, I have no idea what you just wrote. Could you retype all of that in English, please? I have no idea what you're talking about. Loner Max, I've been lifting for 10 plus years. I honestly can't tell if it helped or not. I still hold a scary amount of rage and anger. Loner, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm assuming are you a survivor of this also? I mean, bro, tell your story, man, because you've got anonymity. You got a place to talk, man. You know what, dude? It's not going to be the cure by itself, right? And I want to be clear on that. If you have gone through that, have you gone and gotten therapy for it? Have you gotten help? All right? Have you gotten help? Because that's the other next step. The barbell can help you get strong enough to talk about it, but you have to talk to a therapist. Bro, you have to. You have to. Because otherwise, man, you're going to carry that rage. And I mean, that rage and anger is going to be there. Loner, that rage is always going to be there. It's never fully going to go away, dude. Right? But the barbell will help. But you have to talk to a therapist. You got therapy for the anxiety part. Okay? It helped. You gotta keep working on it, dude. I mean, if those things have happened, you're gonna carry those scars. Believe me, I'm a very scar damaged person. But it does get better. Hey, Will, are you angry for those same reasons? All right, let's get over to Steve's question. Hey, Jason, my girlfriend is getting into CrossFit circuit training, which looks totally bogus. How can I suggest there's a better? I mean, CrossFit circuit training is not terrible. It'll get her into shape, get her under a barbell also, though. Get her into a basic strength training program. Look, a lot of people get in pretty good shape at CrossFit. Like, CrossFit's not bad. Like, I'm not anti-CrossFit. It has its problems. It's not perfect, but it's effective, right? It's effective for general fitness. She could do a whole lot worse. Grayson says lifting does help with trauma in general. I agree, and that's the whole point. It absolutely helps with trauma. Will says, I mean, I don't bring up the past. I look forward to the future. Someone always has it worse. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't address it, brother. Yeah, some people have it worse. My own story, when some people kind of realize how bad it was yesterday, like, wow, dude, your stuff's probably pretty dramatic. Mine's not the worst I heard. And I'm not going to name names. I don't want to say who it is, and I don't want to put their stuff out there, but I've had an ex, someone I dated, who, when I heard their story, it made me go, wow, my 3 years of being abused a couple times a week from next door compared to what you went through, that's kind of like, look at that, go, wow. Like, what they went through was 3 times as bad. Literally, it was horrific. And I thought mine was horrific. Most people would think mine was horrific. Theirs was way worse. But here's the thing, Will. Just because someone had it worse doesn't mean that it's not bad, dude. Trauma is trauma. You know what I mean? And you're saying, I don't want to look into that. But bro, when you bury it and you don't address it, you're not going to heal. You can't bury and suppress that stuff forever. It's going to come to a surface in ways that you are not going to like. You know, it's going to come out in ways that are unexpected. I'm just giving you my advice. I mean, you can take it or leave it, dude, but you have to address it. The honey boo boo effect, fitness related. Can you explain the programming choice on bench today? What do you mean? What do you mean? So I did a heavy top set, then I did a little back off work. Then I did incline benching to build my upper chest and my weak links, and I did triceps. So I frequently program top sets with a little bit of back off work on bench. I like doing sometimes 3 heavy sets. Sometimes I like to take a weight that I know is going to be close to a 3 rep max or whatever and try to see if I can improve it. So that's what I did today. But that was pretty much, for me at the moment, about a 3 rep max. I don't know if I had a 4th rep. If I did, it would have been ugly. I might have had a 4th rep. Because I know based on ramping up, when I grab 225, I know how strong I am for the day. Also, I can look at last week. So last week, I did a 3x3 with 315. I felt just as strong today. So I knew if I can do that for 3 sets, I can go up 10 pounds for 1 set. Because we know that wasn't a 3 rep max. If you can do 3 sets of it, it's not a 3 rep max. I know for a fact I had a rep in the tank, 100% chance. Right? Maybe 2 reps in the tank. That first set, I might have been able to squeeze 5, being able to do a 3x3. So you can look at your previous weeks. And I mean, as a coach, I assess my clients' footages from the week before. Right? That's how we determine what we're going to do on the big stuff the following week. Yeah, so they're probably about a 350. So, and my goal is 375 for the year. So realistically, for me to reach my goal for the whole year, I need to put about 25 pounds on the max. I didn't. I dropped down to 275 and I just repped it. So that wasn't. I left 1 rep in the tank. But I was already fatigued from the harder set because I pushed that set harder than my triples the week before. I was already fatigued and I didn't take a super, super long break. So I went till I felt the bar slow. So on the 6th rep with 275, especially with the pause there, the bar felt heavier and it moved slower. Like I could tell the first rep wasn't within 5 reps of failure. because of the way it moved and it felt light. So I just stopped at 6, knowing I probably had a solid rep still in the tank on both sets. Those were approximately 7, maybe 8 rep if I went for everything. So 1, maybe at the most 2 reps in reserve, which is good quality work sets. And that's pretty much what I did. So it wasn't the 275 wasn't programmed for 6. It was programmed, let's do 275, seems about what I want for back off. And let's see how many reps I can get without grinding the hell out of one. How many abuse survivors using Wes? How would I even be able to approximate that? I have no idea, but I know that I've gotten some. I've had a couple contact me over the years. I've had clients talk about it. So, and I know the message is out there, Wes. And that's the thing, as long as I keep telling that story, it's going to be a couple more, right? As long as I take the posts, as long as I make the videos and people out there see it, there could be someone sitting in this stream right now who's not even saying anything, who's watching, who's been sitting on this, who's been sitting there. I mean, look at some of the guys here who haven't talked about it. You see them kind of hinting at it, right? So as long as we keep telling people, look, I overcame this. I overcame this. I survived it. The barbell helped. It will help you do the same. Get under the barbell, train. Hey, you put that message out there, Wes, and it will eventually reach people. And that's how it works. And that's, I don't care how many, as long as I get some, as long as I can get one more. Wes, if making these videos gets just one more, is it worth it? If I can help one more person find a way to help themselves heal from that horrific crap, one more person, does it make it worthwhile? If they go on to then get the help that they need. All right. Is it worth it? I'm going to say yes. One more, dude, just one person. That person is the world long enough to go talk about it and talk with a therapist and to get to that one human being, it has changed their entire life to someone who was screwed over from day one. And exactly, now look at this Anja person. Look at the sick stuff. This is the stuff my real haters write about. This is why I say all my haters and detractors, including Nation, these people, they're pedophiles. Look at this terrible stuff this person just wrote. I'm about to ban them, but everyone sees it. That is a typical one of my haters. See what they're writing? They're out there. This wouldn't be happening to thousands and thousands of people unless there were thousands and thousands of perpetrators. Person who wrote something like that is one of those monsters. All right. Hey, honey, boo-boo, you don't think doing 275 to 1 rep in reserve is effective? I'm going to disagree. I never got more than 8 reps with 275, even when I had a 365 bench. The most I'd ever hit was 8 reps with it. I've never hit a 9th rep as a back off set. All right. So let's just say I grew up around drugs and lost majority of my family. From my mom OD'd at 12, my sister died as a baby. Dude, that's just right up there with the story of the ex I was talking about, except that there was all the abuse too. Blocked majority of my childhood and adult life out of my mind, but already work out and stuff. Okay. Dan says, I watched the back live yesterday. Man, that's the craziest. I mean, Dan, the messed up part is not the craziest. I have heard worse. I've heard worse firsthand. I've heard 2 other people tell me backstories that were worse than mine. That's what a sick world we live in. That's why people need the help for this. Mine is not the worst. I think it's brave to tackle prior abuse. Most people are afraid to deal with the consequences. I mean, it tore my family apart. But that's because they chose to sweep it under the rug. That's on them. Wynn says, props to you, Jason. You're an interesting person with plenty to teach and share. Got to give the respect for the recent comeback. Appreciate it, man. Hey, Dan, they don't actually believe I made it up, though. I don't actually believe that they believe this. Not after what my ex said. Mm-mm. In your experience in coaching, what works best for breaking a bench plateau? Get bigger. Hey, Dan, unfortunately, that's how it goes. Here's the thing. You're like the messed up part. Your mom and dad not going to the police. Your grandma's trying to cover it up. Your aunt's uncle's doing nothing. But see, Dan, that is the unfortunate nature. That is the norm. Let me state that again. That is the norm. That's why it's so pervasive. That's why it keeps happening. It's a circle. It's a cycle of abuse. It's complete family dysfunctions that create those things. It's crazy how your mind filters out a lot of the bad stuff, else we'd all go insane. Yeah. Hey, Will, but the problem, you remember it sooner or later. I didn't remember it for a long time. And then when I did, oh my God. Seems like you focus on minor training factors. Honey, what do you mean? I focus on the meat and potatoes of training, absolutely. Why do you think I produce strong jack lifters? There's a YouTube channel called Soft White Underbelly. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I don't know if I can handle all that. So the whole family was aware. Yeah, there was a dirty secret. Also saw an NHL where he said he was actually friends with someone's friend. Wow. Hey, Dan, because it got swept under the rug. When one of my aunts went to my grandma about it, she beat her. And I mean beat her till she was black and blue for lying about her brother. Think anybody in the family wanted to talk about it after that? And they all grew up around it. I talked to enough family members and realized how suppressed the whole thing was. Messed up, dude. But that's why these things happen. Hey, coach, I benched 440, 188 pounds. That's insane. You have strong and jack lifters. What are people who started out super weak or now? Well, honey, I built some of those. All right. Omi, I didn't remember it till I was a late teenager. Leonidas, we're not going to go into all that again. I've covered this repeatedly. Yeah. And Omi, remembering it doesn't mean that you can talk about it. Hence why I tell people you need to get under a barbell. You need therapy. You do realize most people are not capable of talking about it just because they remember it. Hey, Leonidas, I'm about to ban you for saying could it be false memories. Well, did you remember? I had a client who started it literally looking like a beanpole who couldn't even squat 200 pounds. I did vlogs on him for 2 years. You guys saw him deadlift over 500 pounds. He started at like 140 looking anorexic with a 180-pound squat. I vlogged him for over 2 years straight. Did you forget that? And then we continued to build him up. So the guy had over a 400-pound squat and had like a 500-pound deadlift with 2.5 years of my coaching with vlogs put up from being emaciated. Did you miss that vlog? I've already posted his. We've already done all that. We literally put before and afters in the vlogs. I mean, I get it if you're new to my channel, but if you've been following me for 5 years ago, 4 years ago, this has been done. I mean, that's a perfect example. So you're like, well, what about? I'm like, I documented one for you guys real time on this channel. Like we put his stuff up week after week, right? We show. Well, I mean, I think I only vlogged him for like the last year, but he made a lot of gains. But I showed his starting videos, his starting pictures at the start of, I think, a very first vlog we did. And I think we vlogged it for about a year. You guys watched the progress. Our face pulls 2 times per week enough for rear delts if you don't do pull-ups and rows. Why aren't you, if you possibly, it's all about, are you getting enough work? I don't even do face pulls myself these days. I just do rear delt raises. Any tip for someone who is persistent mid to lower back left side pain? I sit at a desk for work. Work on your hamstrings. Hey, coach, I can't do them always at the same time. I have other stuff going on. Like I was literally supposed to be in a call in this time, and the client said, hey, can we bump it till this next hour? So then I decided to do this now instead. Maybe, honey, it's not a bad idea. Can you just do a double dynamic progression scheme on all your lifts without worrying about specific periodization? I don't think you need to worry about even a double dynamic progression either. Hey, Roland, I had some things happen that triggered the memories. Hey, Dan, are you asking me to dig up a dead person and ask them? I'm not saying your question's not valid. Hey, I'd love the answer to that too. Do you think I'm ever going to get it? Shall we break out a Ouija board and ask her? Did you find a way to make it work and get more views? Hey, Omi, let's not pretend I don't have law enforcement friends. It's not the issue. Jefferson says, hey, coach. Hey, Jefferson. What were the misconceptions? Why'd you say friend? Didn't I tell you I talked to multiple people? And no, I don't need to go into all that other than I really don't feel like digging through all of that, other than to say I don't have a problem with Muslims. Who are a couple of YouTubers you actually think give good training advice? I don't know. I don't watch any of them. I mean, sorry. I don't sit around watching fitness YouTubers. And here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. If I endorse other people Here's the big problem I've run into every time. Every time I've endorsed another YouTuber, what happens? When they then say something I disagree with, or it disagrees with what I say, people jump up and say, but you endorsed them. You said they give good information. So it's better for me to just not do that. No, honey, because I don't run a political, I'm about to ban you, dude. I don't have time for this crap. I don't run a religious or a political channel. Like, no, I don't need to make a whole video discussing why I'm okay with Muslims now. No, that's not the sort of channel I run. I don't see why you can't comprehend this. Can you just accept that I don't hate them? Isn't that fair? All right. And if it's not, then eat a dick. I don't have time for it. All right. Jefferson, Omi wants to read. It's pretty obvious why he wants it. Exactly. It's kind of weird. Really well. TY, did you not miss my explanation? Will you see the new Captain America movie? Probably not. Omi, if you believe you can shut haters up, you're a delusional person. Like, people like to throw that word at me. That's delusional. To even utter the statement, shut haters up, is probably the most delusional thing you can write on the internet. You might as well just pull a fake Merc thing at that point. Yeah. Yeah, because honey, here's the problem. If I go down and start saying what my old misconceptions were, then I'm possibly committing an offense in YouTube, because then I'm disparaging a religion. So then people could just report that. You see what I mean? So how about we simply leave it as I had some misconceptions and some prejudices that I realized were not true due to my own upbringing and things I was told. Have you read the Starting Strength book? Yes. Hey, Dan, that's a great question. Why don't you maybe ask some of them? But we come back over to, I think you missed the part. And I think, again, if you do a little digging into this type of topic, families are dysfunctional in these situations. There's a reason the majority of this stuff doesn't get reported to police. Like, there's nothing unique. My case is the norm. Bro, it's unfortunate, but that is the reality. People don't want to talk about it. They're scared to talk about it. They're embarrassed to talk about it. What about the live stream? You said the haters shut it down. It didn't work, did it, honey? Because my haters now still call me fat. So my haters send me messages calling me fat 7 days a week. So clearly you can't shut haters up. All right. And Aisha's dad said that you're lying about it for attention. Except that he lied about me for attention, didn't he? Actually, I'm back down to 217 today. It's called reduced carbs, back down again. So Roland says, it's all right, Jason. Your serious fans already know you corrected your past mistakes and take care of your business. Exactly. No, my sister was kept away from all that. And that's a whole nother story. Yes, I know how and why. You look leaner and healthier than ever before. Am I getting a little insight into your diet? Really, most of my diet and the fat loss you guys have seen over time, because it's been slow, very slow, steady. It's mostly been about training fasted, intermittent fasting, keeping protein really, really high during my feeding this. Jason, I'm battling ulcerative colitis. I don't know how to help you there. Sorry. How did you reverse? What do you mean? Are you talking to me or are you talking to someone else? TY, I never had pre-diabetes, so I don't think you're talking to me. You must be talking to some. No. Where'd you get that impression? TY, the bedridden had nothing to do with that. I've covered that in vast detail. Like I covered that in detail 12, 13 years ago, bro. We've already gone through this. Nothing to do with being pre-diabetic. What's your opinion on therapy and dealing with these experiences? You need therapy and dealing with these experiences. TY, sure, you can get diabetes from being, yeah, absolutely. But why do you keep going back to trying to put words in my mouth and then make me say that I was pre-diabetic when I wasn't? Then I'm telling a lie. You see the problem? To my knowledge, I've never been pre-diabetic. I'm not saying I could have been, but to my knowledge, I've never been. Do you think 150 minutes of cardio per week is actually good? I suppose it's decent. No, Dan, he didn't. I thought you were my bro, my mistake. Yeah. Hey, Omi, when you're over 300 pounds, was your blood sugar kept? I don't know. I have no idea. Probably wasn't. I was super sad if I wasn't. That's all good, Steve. For squatting, should you keep feet no wider than shoulder width for the best muscle growth potential? No, you don't have to do that. Do you struggle with low energy when eating high protein? I feel like, no. Pause reps on squat effective. It can be. Is popcorn with no butter only? With no butter only, salt that help, but maybe potentially. If you're doing higher carbs, yeah, I think it can be fine. Dan, I have my own anger issues with my dad over some of that. Obviously, I've had to step back and try to understand it from his childhood, growing up in perspective, and the way that his family was. And I'm not saying it's excused because it's not. I'm saying that I understand. Not saying it's excused, but I at least understand why he responded the way that he did, and not understand or understood the dangers. Did you ever do any cycling as in bicycle? As an adult? No. I rode a bike as a kid. All right. Hey, Bagel, I don't disagree. Again, as I said, my relationship with my dad was pretty strained for a real long time. TY says, I really enjoy the content and being able to talk to you. Thank you, sir. So that's why I look at it crazy when you have trolls come and say stuff like, your dad's disowned, your dad didn't talk to you. I'm like, I didn't talk to my dad. This is a two-way street, guys. Not like I didn't know where he lived and couldn't just show up. We made peace at a funeral. I feel my joints click after 2 years of ego lifting. Am I cooked? Is there any other way to preserve my joints? Yeah, fix what you're doing with your training. Jason, did you start playing the guitar? No, I started playing the guitar in middle school and then quit near the end of high school and then didn't pick it up for a long time. No, my father didn't have a relationship with his brother till his death. No, not at all. They hated each other. No, my dad wasn't a lifter. Hey, Wes, but the story isn't that grandiose. It really isn't. There's so much more extreme ones in mine. That's the thing. It really isn't grandiose. I've heard some way worse. And it's very clear in this case, these haters have not looked into this stuff very much of how these things happen. That's the problem, is that this is kind of the norm with these things. It's not unusual. If it wasn't the norm, it wouldn't still happen. Everyone would go turn it in, everyone would get reported, it would go away. Right? It would go away as a social problem completely. Thoughts on collagen powder, waste of time. Wouldn't it be all over the... Hey, memory, what do you mean? You're aware that the overwhelming majority of these cases don't reach the news, 99.9%. Again, do a little research. Any natural way to reduce gynoherds? No, not to my knowledge. You probably need a CERN. Yeah, I don't recommend supplementing zinc. Did you watch Lane Nordstrom on Joe Rogan? No, I did not. Don't care to. Why did he mention me? Got on Joe Rogan. Doesn't mean I want to sit around and watch it. Hey, Omi, I notice you keep doing that. Essentially, your thing is you're trying to discredit me and then you wanting to read all of it. You may want to stop before I get rid of you. No, the local news didn't pick it up. My aunt took copies of the police report and plastered them all over the town, all over his place of business, all the adjoining business near the business he owned, everything. He at least got public shamed at that point. But yeah, there were police records, and the police records were public. Aunt went and printed a copy out, hundreds of copies. Yeah, and it happened in a small town, guys. This is not, you're thinking the local news. Plus, it didn't happen in the town where I had to report it, same county. I understand you won't, not this, yeah. The problem is it is that common. Dan, that's the problem. It is common. Yeah, nothing. Nope. because he was my grandma's favorite. He was her oldest of 7. He was Meemaw's favorite. You don't mess with Meemaw's favorite. He was a good boy. Couldn't do anything wrong. How do you not turn into a monster like your abuser? A lot of therapy. You missed the part in the video yesterday where I said my therapist looked at me at one point and goes, "How are you not in prison?" What's your favorite carb source for an athlete? I don't know if I have favorite rice or potatoes, potentially. I don't know if there's any validity to any of that conspiracy stuff. It might be. Hey, Bagel. I hate it when people say the victims. Yeah, I already banned multiple people for saying that. Did you catch that in the comments? What does that tell you about those people? So you saw people come in here who are clearly part of the Blaha hater ring who wrote stuff like that. Do you see the memes they make? He died when I was about 7 or 8 years old, Grandpa. What did he do about it? He kept him away from all the girls. He kept him away from the granddaughters, including my sister. That's what people did about it. It never occurred to him that it might be boys. It wasn't in his mindset, I guess, to understand that. Yeah, he died when I was 7 or 8 years old, though. So, yeah. White or brown rice. I think it depends on what's happening with your GI tract, your ability to absorb it. A red skin potato or russet. I think those are good, either one. Jefferson says, I wasn't abused. Thank you for bringing attention to this kind of stuff and helping people. And that's all I would urge people to do. No, he never got my sister, Dan. Again, why are you putting words in my mouth? I never said or implied that. Some cousins. Do you know how many cousins I have? I only know for a fact 3 of my cousins, which is a small number. Please note I come from a very big Eastern European family. I don't know of him getting any of the girls. It was all boys after his sisters when they were younger. It's all boys that I'm aware of. Keeping in mind, my dad is one of 7 kids. I have a lot of cousins. Favorite Czech dish. The only Czech dishes we have were kolaches and sausage. We did make our own sausage in my family recipe from the live pigs. Coach, I would pay it top dollar to watch you and the French degenerate in a boxing match. That would settle things. Frenchie ain't worth it. Yep. I agree, Omi. I agree. No, Dan, I didn't say that. I said I don't know of any. Not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying I have seen no evidence of any of the females. Not saying you didn't. I'm saying I'm not aware of any specifics. So we need to clarify there. Have I done any combat sports now? Now, Omi, I agree. I totally agree. It should have been enough to blow the lid, and people allowed it to continue, just like they always do. hence why this is a problem. This is a point I keep making over and over. So let's come back over to why this mission statement is important. If people who are survivors get under a barbell and empower themselves, it will help them to be able to talk about it. If they do not talk about it, these people never come to justice. Okay? What I am trying to do here is empower the victims to get the help that they need so that they can talk about these things, so that it can go public and so more of these people can get caught. Yes, I want them to heal also. Right? But it also is how you catch the people. Because if nobody talks about it and nobody ever comes forward, this stuff stays in families. Right? That's why we get people on it. That's why we tell them, look, empower yourself, get strong, get healing. Memory, I quite frankly don't care what my dad thinks about it. Completely irrelevant. Do you think genetics might have contributed to your 500 squat and 635 deadlift? No, because everyone says I have the worst genetics in YouTube fitness. Hey, Dan, they lived next door. They were our immediate next door neighbors in the lot, in a rural area, literally next door. Do the math on it. Jason ran, or do you mean currently still owns the company? It's been fun watching your character development over the past decades. I've really enjoyed it. Flo, by the way, Jason, I've been subscribed since 2017, but never really commented. I like your message, support your cause. Really sorry to hear what happened to you, man. I appreciate you for the training advice. You're welcome, bro. And I'm going to continue to put this message out because, again, highlighting the importance of it. All these people are saying this stuff. Why didn't this come out? Why didn't people talk? Why didn't people do that? Because people can't talk about it. There's stuff happens in families. People are terrified to talk about it. Okay. Because, and this is exactly why I've raised that point of when you people are in public here calling abuse survivors liars, you are reinforcing the programming of the abuse. Okay. To all the people listening, because you have to understand these monsters, what they do to us when we are children is they tell us no one will believe you. Don't even bother to talk about it. Everyone's going to know you're a liar because this didn't happen. You're good. They're going to call you a liar and no one's going to believe you. And then everyone's going to hate you. They're going to hate you for being a liar. Do you understand that? This is what is told to children, and they're also threatened. If you talk, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. We're going to do this to you. We're going to do this to your mom. Like I was literally told they would kill my mother if I talked about it and that no one would believe me. So the first time a therapist asked me at 7 years old, did it happen? I screamed. I screamed, no, 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 over and over and would stop screaming no. That was my response, documented in my medical records. That I just screamed no over and over because I didn't want my mom to die. So you need to understand why it's insidious when people do that and they jump up and accuse people of lying about that. You have to understand that. I'm here to empower survivors. What do you mean? He just babysitted. We ate ice cream. We watched TV. We went to parks. We went to places. Let me be clear. This is discussed later with my mom, with other family members, the ruse that he put on. They loved children. They loved to babysit children. They loved any of the kids in the family, neighbors, kid, anybody they knew. They take them to rodeos. They take them to places. They just loved children. They just thought children were the most wonderful gift, God's gift to the world, and they always just loved children in public. That was their MO. Hey, Omi, everything here. I'm surprised at this. I'm surprised at that. And you keep, dude, I'm sorry, but you're weird. You're gone, dude. Get out of here. I know what you are. Omi, I know what you are. And for you sick fucks, that's a scary thing for someone to say. Omi, I know what you are, motherfucker. Let me catch you. All right, back over to the real topics. What extent of your uncle's past did your dad? Hey, Dan, why don't you ask my fucking dad? Jesus Christ. What did your dad know? I don't know. Why don't you use your psychic powers to invade my dad's mind and find out? Jesus Christ. You people are fucking idiots. Wow. All right. Sorry, I'm trying not to cuss, but I'm losing my thing with you dumbasses. What did your dad know? Yeah, because my dad wrote me a whole 10-page explanation of this, right? Again, we had a strained relationship. Would you write articles for Tiger Fitness again? Mark seems like a solid guy. What video in your YouTube membership is membership channel still? I don't know what that means. All right. TY, I don't know. I don't know that I'd write for Tiger Fitness. I don't think Mark would hire me to write for Tiger Fitness, so it's rather a moot point. Yeah, TY, that's exactly what he's trying to do. I mean, they act like every member of the family wants to talk about this with me in vast detail, you know. I assume you're dead. Hey, Dan, because I don't want to repeat certain things. In fact, I go so far as to say me even answering your question would be a terms of service violation. They could get my video struck. So, where are you trying to go with it? Because maybe a bunch of members of my family have their own suppressed memories and problems and misunderstandings of the situation. They never got therapy for. Let me just leave it at my uncle was an evil, disgusting, sick person who is burning in hell right now where he belongs. And I hope it hurts. All right. Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm clearly at peace with it. They don't like it. Yeah, Vegeta's right. I mean, she knew. I don't know what she necessarily said in the interview, but I know that she talked to my mother about it at length. I know that they had gotten fairly close at one time. She worked at the same. My mom got her a job at one time, and she worked at the same hospital. She used to eat lunch with my mom. I know that they talked about it quite a bit. So now they're both dead. I don't know everything that they talked about with it. I have no way to ask them. My ex and my mother are both deceased. But yeah, I'm sure she probably did because Anna was aware of it. Like she knew. She knew. I mean, I obviously talked to her about it, and she was my wife. It wasn't, not the sort of stuff you keep from that. You ever felt dissociative? I've had it. I used to have dissociative issues, big time. It's been a long time. I haven't had a dissociative fugue state in a really, 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 really long time. Um, Therapy helped with that a lot. Like, so when I say a fugue state, yeah, there were a couple times when I found myself somewhere and had no memory of driving there, getting there, no idea where I was. That happened a few times. But I mean, therapy helped with that. My parents were very irresponsible parents. Yeah. Hey, Dan, I don't want to go into my whole other childhood of my parents being shitty parents. My sister will say they were shitty parents too. Um, I didn't have the most responsible parents. No disagreement there, and that started before any of the abuse. Um, and Vegeta, I'm not surprised she said some bad things because we split up on really bad terms. My relationship was really bad near the end. So, it was really bad near the end. And I know that her and I made peace near the end. But yeah, she absolutely hated me. She hated me. And I didn't forgive her for a long time for some stuff. And it wasn't because I necessarily did bad things to her. Um, I wasn't capable of being a good husband at that point in my life. Right. I don't know what all she said, guys. I have no clue because I don't want to go listen to the thing. No, my dad never took accountability. You know. All right, guys, I got to hop off here. I have a client call in a few minutes. I just saw the time, top of the hour. So let me shut this down. We're done. I'll catch you guys next time.